Hi, Flosstube. This is Renee. I'm Nostalgic Needlework here on YouTube, and I welcome you if you've never visited my channel, and if you have, I thank you for coming back. To all my subscribers, thank you for your loyalty, and to anyone who would like to subscribe, I invite you to do so. I would love to have you. I just wanted to say I hope that you all had a blessed 2018. Today is January 1st, 2019, and I want to say Happy New Year to all of my friends out there. I can't let this introduction go by without saying that I know there are friends that I've made on Flosstube who have gone through great tragedy during the year of 2018. And I want to give you my sincere condolences and to tell you that you are in my prayers. Sometimes there are no words that can make anything better. The only thing that I can say is that God loves you, and so many people here on Flosstube love you. And just hold on to God's word, and He will carry you through. I'll be back to show you what some of my finishes are for 2018 and what some of my plans are for 2019. See you soon. As we close out 2018, I wanted to share the finishes that I had for this year. And I was pleasantly surprised. For those of you that had 120 finishes, 60 finishes, it's not going to sound like anything. But for me, it's a lot, especially considering that I had some health struggles through the year. So, without further ado, I'm going to share with you the one FFO that I have. And it is Faith by Little House Needleworks. I made it into a pillow, backed it with some cotton fabric I had, and tied some jute bows on the bottom. This is part of the Little Sheep Virtues series, and I'm hoping to do them all into pillows so that I can put them on display. So that's my only FFO. I also completed from that series, looking through my stack here, Love. I have not completed the FFO, but I do have it stitched. I stitched this on linen 28 count, and I plan to finish it. I have some homespun fabric that I want to use to back the pillow. I think I have it right here. Pardon me just a minute. I want to use this to back the fabric or to back the pillow, and then use some jute. But with each one I want to do the jute a little bit differently. For instance, since that one has bows at the bottom, I may do a bow at the top, bows in the corners. I want all of them to have their own little design. another option I have for putting on the back, and I may end up choosing this. If any of you have an opinion, I would like it. I also have this green. I may end up using that. I think either one of them will work. I'm really enjoying this series. I'm looking forward to stitching some more of those in the coming year. The next piece that I finished, I haven't ironed any of these, so I apologize, was a posy design that I bought when my daughter and I went to the Biltmore estate back in 2005. But I was able to finish it this year. Make sure I've got it in the right place. It was a simple little stitch. I try to buy these when I find them where we go on vacation. And this was a special trip for she and I, so I finished that up. I believe this will fit into a 5x7 frame, and I probably will frame it because I want to hang the different ones that I have from trips into a grouping on the wall. This is by Waxing Moon Designs, and it is an Easter egg. I believe it's called Easter Bunny. The called for fabric was raspberry, 28 count. I think it's Jobelin, but it might be Lugana. And the called for threads were chalk. So, or what? The called for thread, I should say, was chalk. So I've completed that one, and I want to do a few more of these. I have a lot of fabric left, and so I want to do 3 more using different color threads. I'd like to do one in yellow, one in blue, maybe one in an Easter green. Let's see, I have this is Jobelin, so it's 28 count Jobelin. So I'm going to do some more of those, but I'm proud to have that little bunny finished. It'll be a fun little thing to hang on some sort of tree at Easter time. This design, or these separate designs, I found on, let me think just a minute. It was eBay. I found them on eBay. Skip and I had been to Williamsburg, Virginia, and I didn't find any cross-stitch pattern while we were there. So I saw these advertised on eBay, and they were very inexpensive. So I chose just 4 little vignettes from around Williamsburg and put them on this one piece of linen. And I'm going to frame that. If I can find a frame to fit it, I'll try to do it myself. If not, I may have to hire a framer to do it. So that was another finish. I believe I have 12 in all. This is a pattern that I got as a gift at the Katrina Boyd retreat last year, 2017. I went to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and she gifted us this pattern. I believe it's a Blue Ribbon Designs pattern, and it will be pretty for Valentine's Day. I know that this fits in a 5x7 frame, so I'll be framing that myself. It's on 14 count white Ada. It came as a kit, so I didn't have to buy anything. The flosses were, I don't think it was Anchor, but they weren't DMC. I'll have to look that up. I don't remember exactly. This is my largest finish. And when I was at that Katrina Boyd retreat, Teresa Vanette, Kitten Stitcher, was there. And she had kind of a trunk show there. She had her models out. And she was selling the patterns. And this is one that I actually bought several of these for the different seasons. This is a design that she and her partner designed under the label of Raise the Roof Designs. And this is Peter Cotton Knits. I want to make sure I'm showing this correctly. I had so much fun stitching this. It called for overdyed flosses, and so I ordered those. I ordered the call for fabric, and I can't remember now what it is. It's a blue and white mottled fabric, and I used the call for colors and the Jabco. I ordered the Jabco buttons that it called for. I've purchased a washboard, and I'm going to try to copy Priscilla and Chelsea and mount this so that it can be changed on the washboard out according to the season using magnets. So I'm looking forward to that. This is the only one that I've completed, but I did purchase the Christmas one and one for Halloween and one for the 4th of July and Memorial Day. So I'm looking forward to doing some more of those. This is a little pattern that I got out of one of the Just Cross Stitch magazines. I'm going to make that into an ornament. It's Baby Jesus in the manger. That's stitched on 14 count Aida. I'm not sure the color. It's darker than off-white, so it's probably a tan. This was my first year of doing any Mill Hill kits, and they've been fun. I was scared at first, but once I got used to it. This is called the Nativity, and it is a Mill Hill Christmas kit. It came with the beads, the floss, the perforated paper. I'm going to make that into an ornament. The other Mill Hill that I did is part of the Village series, so I think I'm going to do these into frames. This is called Country Church, and I did make a change right over here. I left out a bush, and I added in Baby Jesus in a manger. The church reminded me of all the Christmas programs that I've been to over the years as a child and then with my children and participated in, so I wanted to reflect that on this piece. The final Christmas ornament that I completed is a Country Cottage Needleworks, or Little House Needleworks. I'm sorry, my mind has gone blank, but it's Oh Come Let Us Adore Him. I stitched this on some gray Aida that I had. I believe it's 22 count. And I'm going to make that into an ornament. Possibly a pillow ornament. I'm not sure. I haven't decided on that one yet. And I've shown this before and told the story about how I cut the fabric wrong, and then I ended up having to stitch this on 1/1, and I was very glad to get this finished. But this is Autumn ABCs. It's a fun stitch. My eyes just didn't enjoy the 1/1, but I didn't have it. These were the call for flosses and the call for fabric, and I didn't want to waste that fabric, and so I just went ahead and finished it doing 1/1. I don't think I'll be doing that anymore. I have another finish that's in my piano studio that I forgot to bring in here. It's a pillow that I made, and it was a special design by Teresa Vanette that she brought to that Katrina Boyd retreat. For the life of me, I can't think of the verse. I've shown it before in some of my past videos. So maybe that was 13 finishes that I had for 2018. As I look back on 2018, I was trying to think of the things that probably affected my stitching that I learned the most. I believe that learning about the new designers, I would have to say, was the biggest advantage to my stitching that I achieved in 2018. There's so many designers out there that I've come to love that I had no idea existed. So I would have to say that through Flosstube, I have learned so many things that so many designers make that will carry me into the future as I choose designs to stitch. I'll be back later with the things I have kitted up and my plans. I'm going to share with you now the patterns that I definitely want to stitch in 2019. The first one is a WIP that I'm carrying over. I have a couple more WIPs that I'll tell you about that I don't have here with me. And then I've picked about 4 or 5 patterns that I would like to start. They're things that I believe I can finish. I'm not a big, I don't handle the stress well of having a lot of WIPs. But I do like to have a few going so that if I'm not in the mood to stitch one, that I can stitch something else. And by watching other Flosstubers, I figured out that it's a good way to get more things finished, because if you stitch a little on each thing, then you end up having a better chance of finishing more than just sticking to one project. I started this past year. Nicola Parkman, Hands Across the Sea, samplers, she and her company have become one of my most favorite sampler designers and pattern makers. This is Mary Brown, 1765. I was looking for my little board. I started her in the fall of last year. And this is my first Hands Across the Sea pattern. I've shown it before in a video, but I wanted to show it to you again because this is a WIP that I'm carrying over. I think I'm about to start working on it again actually, because the things I'm going to show you that follow this, I don't have them kitted up, and we've had a lot of rainy, just gloomy days here in Georgia, and I think I need something a little bright to kind of enhance my mood a little bit. So I believe I'm going to start working on her. I had told you in my last video that I was going to start a Christmas start, maybe not on Christmas Day, but in December. Well, that didn't happen. And then I thought about doing a New Year's Day start, but I just didn't feel like that was the thing I wanted to do this year. So I think Mary's going to get worked on. This Mirabilia, I've never stitched a Mirabilia by Nora Corbett before. This is Bianca Bella. I'm planning on using the Call For fabric, the Call For floss, which is DMC. There are 2 Karen Water Lilies colors that I'll need to get. And then, let's see, 8 different colors of beads, Mill beads. I have to put my glasses on. This calls to be stitched on 32 count French lace linen by WIPS. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. My eyes have really been bothering me stitching. I find they get so tired if I use a higher count. And when things come kitted, I always try to use the fabric that comes in the kit. And a lot of times they are 32, which is high for me. But if they're not kitted, I think this year I'm going to allow myself to stitch on some Ada again and give my eyes a little rest. I'm really excited about starting these. I've never stitched Prairie Schooler either, and I love Noah's Ark, and so this is 2x2. At first, the copyright was 1998, and I want to stitch this along with the ark, and then this is 2x2 too. So these are the rest of the little animals. And I can't decide how I want to do this. I don't know if I want to do pillows and a wreath, or if I want to do one big piece with the ark in the middle. I just don't know. But I plan on using the Call For colors, which are all DMC, and they suggest a 28 count natural light linen. The one that is on the cover is a WIPS linen, and I think I may do Ada. Now this piece I will do on 28 count, probably linen, possibly an even weave. I saw this, Nicola came out with this pattern just recently, and there were 2 patterns, but this one just called to me, and it's Mary Clayton, an English school girl sampler. And I don't know, I can't tell you, I can't tell you why this one called to me so, but I just knew when I saw it that that was the one that I wanted to stitch. For one thing, it's not huge as compared to some of the Hands Across the Sea patterns. So that definitely played into my choice. She says on here that the fabric was very hard to match, and that the closest they could come were a combination of DMC shades 612 and 613. And those are a lighter and then a little darker tan with maybe, this looks like it has a hint of pink. And I think I have seen And I can't remember which fabric it is, but I think I have seen a fabric here on Flosstube that somebody was stitching with that was a neutral, but it did have a tinge of pink. So if any of you know what that is, I would love it if you would share it with me. She gives on the back the dimensions for 28 count through 46 count. And the design is 201 stitches wide by 183 stitches high. So if I do 28 count, the fabric needs to be 20 1/3 inches by a little over 19 inches. So it's still a big piece, but it just seems like it wasn't quite as much. I haven't studied the pattern, but it seemed like it wasn't quite as intensive as some of them that I have. She gives the numbers for 2 different types of silk or for DMC, and I will be using the DMC. I would love to use the silks, but they are just so expensive that I can't. I just can't see my way clear to do that right now. I'm not going to try to put that back because I'll drive you crazy with the noise. The last thing I wanted to share is about I tell you, when you get over 50, sometimes I wonder, is it just my age or is there really a problem? Because words just won't come to me. But Teresa, Kitten Stitcher, I also have fibromyalgia, so maybe it's just fibrofog. I don't know. Subscriptions, that's what clubs is all I could think of, but subscriptions. I had over the past year 3 subscriptions. One was to Color and Cotton for their fabric. I wanted to build my fabric stash. One was Victorian Motto Threads, the Primitive Collection. And the third was Gulf Coast Stitches, the Floss Collection. And I enjoy each of those subscriptions so very much. But I have patterns here, as you can see, that need kitting up. I have many more back in my studio. But after being members of the clubs and getting all the beautiful things that they send each month, I realized that I was building a good stash. But most of the time, not all the time, when I would go to kit up a project, I'm a rule follower to a fault. And I think part of the fun of cross-stitching for me is finding the fabric it calls for and finding the exact threads it calls for and finding the buttons or whatever. And I was noticing that they weren't corresponding always, and that's nobody's fault. Julie's club has club again. Julie's subscription has allowed me to build my WIPS die works and Gentle Arts. Can't think of it. One more stash. Victorian Motto. Every thread I've received from her is outstanding. And the price, you can't beat it for the amount of floss that you get. Every piece of fabric that I have received from Color and Cotton, I can't say enough good things about it. It's beautiful. The only negative thing is that the counts I had chosen were 28 to 34, I think. And so all of those are the higher counts, which is great. But because my eyes are bothering me, I'm not going to be able to stitch as many things for right now. But I've got all of those put away. I've been working some on the Festive Little Fobs collection from Heartstring Samplery, Beth Twist, and I have the Woodland collection. So I did substitute the Victorian motto flosses for those, and they're so pretty. And I'll be showing those at a later time. I think I showed them on one of my videos recently. But when I added up what I was spending, I realized that it was going to make it impossible, or near impossible, for me to kit up the things that I wanted to work on with what I could comfortably stitch on. So, begrudgingly, sadly, I withdrew my subscriptions to those 3 clubs. Subscriptions. For any of you out there, I suggest that if you can afford it, by all means do it. You will never regret joining either one of those 3. Those are the only 3 I have any kind of attachment to, so that's the only 3 that I can really recommend. I'm sure there are a lot of other wonderful ones out there. I did stay in the Country Stitchers Farmhouse Girls Club, and they send me the patterns about every 3 months. They have different designers, well-known designers. I've shown some of them. I know I've shown the Philip Foster house. That's the only one that I've started. And I've received one by Kathy Barrett. Beth Twist designed the Philip Foster house. I recently received one that I'll show in a later video by Kathy Barrett. And I've received one by the Scarlet House. And I've never stitched anything by Kathy Barrett, and I've never stitched anything by the Scarlet House. So I'm really enjoying that club. That is a club. And I hope to stay in that. Now, some of those fabrics are on a higher count. I know that the one American Farmhouse is the Scarlet House pattern, and I believe it's on 34 count, maybe 36, and it's a dark fabric, so I'm going to have to use my hot light to stitch on that. But I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to miss those subscriptions, but it's going to allow me to get the materials and work on some of these things that are really calling to me. I know that I also want to get out my Blackbird Designs book, and it has, I can't think the name of it, but it has a lot of patriotic pieces in it, and I want to stitch 1 or 2 of those at least. I have a pin drum that I'd like to stitch this year if I can. And I'm sure things will come along. I know that Market is coming in March, I believe. And I always see things there that I want to get. Last year, that's when I ordered my first Nicola Parkman Hands Across the Sea sampler patterns. And I also ordered my first Beth Twist Prairie Life sampler. I haven't finished that one yet. That's WIP that I'm carrying into 2019. But I know that I'm going to want to make some purchases at market, so stopping my subscriptions will help me to get the few patterns that I find that just really have to come to my house. With that, I'm going to say goodbye, my friends. I'm going to try to get up 2 videos a month. If I'm not able to do 2 videos, I will do 1. I will give it my very best effort. And I look forward to seeing all of your videos. I thank you all for your kindness, for welcoming me into this community. And have fun stitching this year. And be blessed, my friends. Talk to you soon.